Welcome to Risen Savior Lutheran School, home of the First Center for Urban Teaching Summer School. As we walk to our first classroom, notice the positive student work that lines the halls. On the door are pictures, and for everyone to see, the objectives are clearly posted. Are those Bloom's verbs? Yes, they are.
I'm Katrina Buchholz, 2014 Seafoot alumni.
4, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
The teacher just finished reading class and is transitioning to math. She has manipulatives that she needs to pass out, so she utilizes a student-run activity as a brain break. This one is called Four Corners. Yep, it's a fun one. As you watch the rest of the transition, answer the question, what rules and procedures did the teacher probably establish ahead of time in order for the break to run smoothly?
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. 4, 5, 2, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Back the train up. What was that conversation about? I want to watch that situation more closely.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
One rule during this procedure is no running. The teacher used a nonverbal by pointing at the seat, and then a private individual correction after whispering to the student what to do. These are called least invasive techniques. This type of redirection does not embarrass the child or create a power struggle by yelling. As a result, she's maintained high expectations with accountability, maintained the relationship with the scholar, and kept a positive classroom culture.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0. 3, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. 2. Say good job, Melissa. Good job, Melissa.
Third grade, put your hands on top of your head. Thanks for doing that immediately. Paul, Christine, eyes are tracking here. Thank you.
The teacher gives observable directions so that she can see if 100% of her class is ready to move on.
We are not doing a time test this morning, so instead I'm going to give you 1 minute. On the back of the paper on your desk, the graph paper, I want you to write your 6s, 7s, and 8s. Not skip counting, but multiplying. Peach?
Wow.
You have 2.5 minutes. Go ahead. Thanks, Jamie, for getting right to work. "30 seconds left. Finish strong. You're writing up that whole thing. Checking to see who. Christine looks super focused with her feet under her desk. Ivor's leaning over his work, Tatiana keeps on working. Skipping those if she doesn't know them. All right, third grade, pencils down. You're sitting up, slant, just like Alex did immediately on that 5, 4, 3. Ready to move on. Look at that smile, Giovanni. I'm at 2. Looking focused. 1, and 0. Let's stand for some group counting. 12. Elbows sweep, skip counting 3 to 30. You've got it. Here we go. 3,
6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30.
Way to be a leader, Christine. Backwards from 30. I want to hear you. Here we go.
30, 27, 24, 21, 18, 15, 12, 9, 6, 3, 0.
Toe touches 4 to 40. Here we go.
As the classroom gets closer to lunchtime, the teacher is proactive about getting students up and moving, making sure that every minute really does matter in her classroom, a fun and engaging way to review math. In the next couple clips,
40.
I hope you notice the warm, strict relationship that the teacher has. While she has extremely high expectations and uses countdowns and ensures 100% of her class is with her, she at the same time shows a warm, nurturing side. Listen to the language she uses in the next couple clips.
I would like to give up to Damien and Tatiana each time they came back all the way up instead of just going halfway. Football feet, 5 to 50. Here we go. 5, 10. Track meet. Nice work. When we sit down, now that our bodies are all warmed up and our brains are full of oxygen, when you sit, track Damien. See how focused you are? Make yourself that focus. Track me.
The same scholar that earlier had a private individual conversation is now being complimented in front of the whole class.
Nice, Giovanni. Isn't it cool that you get to be a leader and others want to be just like you?
Earlier, we referenced the least invasive technique from Teach Like a Champ. This time we notice a positive group correction as the teacher reiterates that she wants the pencil on the name. She follows this with a lightning quick correction to one scholar who needs to set their items off to the side. Let's listen to see if we can pick out those 2 least invasive techniques.
When you sit, you need to turn your graph paper back to the front side. Pencils on your name, hands folded. Go. Pencils on your name. You don't need to put your name on it. Pencils on your name. And eyes are up here, just like Alex has them. He has a sweetheart. Not right now. Set it off to the side. Today, we're going to review how you can use multiplication to find areas. How do you think you could use your graph paper to find out the length and the width of your rectangles? Go ahead, work that out with your partner. Go. Hands folded. So you're not really tempted to touch anything? Thanks. Giovanni, you're still smiling. I love it.
At this point, you might be wondering how the teacher continues to get 100% of her class to follow directions. 1, she has great relationships already established. 2, her directions are clear with little gray area. And 3, she stated the purpose for her directions to create buy-in. Let's listen one more time for the expectation, the purpose, and the relationship.
Be tracking me, hands folded. So you're not really tempted to touch anything? Thanks. Giovanni, you're still smiling. I love it.
As you continue to see high expectations, now let's listen for high expectations. What do you notice about the way students are answering questions?
Go ahead, Eric. Tracking.
Well, you could grab one, put it on your good paper, trace it, and then count how many there are in the good paper.
Some of you are nodding along. Anyone want to add to that or respond?
When communicating, the format matters. That means that complete sentences are used whether you're writing or you're speaking.
Go ahead, Tatiana. Thanks for tracking, Kaya.
I respectfully agree with Eric because you can do it that way.
And if those expectations aren't met, the most logical thing to do is do it again and do it right.
5. 3rd grade, bring it back. Way back. Try it again. 3rd grade, bring it back.
Way back.
Checking that Takaya has her hands.
Whew, time flies when you're having fun on a virtual tour. Speaking of time, Let's check out Melissa Hoyer's second grade math class where they're learning about how to tell time.
I'm Melissa Hoyer. I teach second grade at Risen Savior, and I'm a 2013 Secret alumni.
We're going to start by warming up, and we're going to start by counting by fives. Think about why we would count by fives. Why are we going to count by fives to get warmed up? Make sure Carver stays with me.
David Levin, the co-founder of KIPP, refers to ratio as the proportion of cognitive lifting that scholars do as compared to their teacher. Notice how this teacher begins by asking a series of critical thinking questions.
Why are we counting by fives to get warmed up? Joshua?
Because it's each 5 minutes for each number.
Good, so when we talk about a clock and the hours on our clock, each one of those hours stands for 5 minutes as the minute hand works around, right? We're not going to stop at 50 like we normally do. Strong hand to tell me what number we are going to stop at. Caleb? 60, and a strong hand to tell me why we're stopping at 60 instead of 50. Why are we going to go all the way to 60, Kalela?
Because there's 60 minutes in that hour.
Good, there's 60 minutes in an hour. Clap once. Clap twice. This up. 3, 2, 1.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60.
Beautiful. Again, please clap once. Clap twice. This up. 3, 2, 1.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60.
Strong hand to tell me how many fingers that took.
Before asking the last 3 questions, Melissa has started her sentence by saying, "Strong hand to tell me." This proactive approach eliminates confusion as to whether students should call out or silently raise their hand.
Yeah, we've never even done that multiplication problem, and you figured it out. Great job, Alex. 12 times 5 is 60. Now let's count by tens, please. Clap once. Clap twice. This up. 3, 2, 1.
10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90.
PJ and I both got counting. Strong hand to tell me what number we should have stopped at. Owen? 60. I made that mistake too. We're stopping at 60 because there's 60 minutes. Here we go. Clap once. Clap twice. This up. 3, 2, 1.
That's right. If you can't make a mistake, you can't make anything. The teacher had modeled what to do when you make a mistake. You get up and you keep on trying. She's made this a safe place to fail.
Count by 15. Ooh, lots you just remember. Caleb, go ahead.
15, 30, 45, 60.
Good. 15, 30, 45, 60. All right, I think I'm going to show people on this. We call this what of an hour. Yesterday when we were talking about counting by 15s, we used a word, kind of like fourths, but we called it what? Talia? Quarters. I say you say quarters.
Quarters.
All right, clap once. Clap twice. This up, we're stopping at 60, which is only going to take 4 fingers. If you forget the numbers, they're up there. 3, 2, 1.
50, 30, 45, 60.
Second grade, I want to find out how many minutes before 8. Raise your hand if you already know, and you're like, Mrs. Sawyer, I know how many minutes it is before it turns 8 o'clock. Well, track me as I do this, please. Here's how you can count it if you are not sure. I love how everyone's eyes are up here. To get to 8 o'clock, my minute hand needs to get to what time? Or to what number? The what? Sarah, 8. The 12. My minute hand needs to get to the 12. Well, Joshua told me when we started today that as we count by 5 minutes. So watch how I count. 5, 10.
Look for what happens when a student gets a question wrong.
My minute hand's here. It's 5, 10 minutes away before it's what time? 5, Jordy. 10 minutes away before it's what time, Ashley? 10 minutes before it's what time, Ashley? Watch. 5, 10. It's on the 12. Is it 12 o'clock, Ashley? No, what time is it? 8 o'clock. So it's 10 minutes before 8 o'clock.
The teacher uses no opt-out, meaning even though a student got it wrong, the teacher did not give up on that student. There was no opting out of getting the right answer.
10 minutes before 8.
Good. Let's read it using the word to. Ready?
10 minutes to 8.
Good. To and before mean the same thing. To and before mean the
Same
Good.
thing.
Track up here, please.
The teacher works to keep the student ratio high, this time by using a call and response, meaning she uses a dramatic pause or a cue for the whole class to respond in unison.
5 o'clock.
The teacher controls the condition of the classroom. We've been noticing how the teacher has held high expectations academically. Let's see what we can notice about how she maintains high behavioral expectations.
What time? I'm moving my hour hand because it's getting closer to what time. Look at how many hands I have over here. Great. Oh, good. Margaret, it's getting closer to? It's getting closer to 6 o'clock, right?
The teacher could have said, "How come nobody over here has their hand raised?" Instead, she narrated the positive. "Look how many hands I have over here," as she referenced the side that had almost all hands up.
12. I'm going to stop when it gets to 12 because when it gets to 12, what time is it going to be? Darren. 6 o'clock. Good. Eyes are up here. Count with me, please. And strong hands, tell me what I'm going to count by. I'm going to count by what, Ashley? 5s. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
5, 10, 15, 20.
Good. So what do you think is going to go in this first blank? 9-0. 20. Can someone read this whole thing to me, please? Ooh, look at everyone ready to do it. Go ahead, Ami. Using the word before to start, honey. Good. 20 minutes before 6. Second grade using the word before.
20 minutes before 6.
Good. Alyssa, can you read it using the word to? Good. 20 minutes to 6. Second grade using the word to.
20 minutes to 6.
Beautiful. Let's do one more on the board, then we'll be using our little clocks. I love how I've seen like no one touch their little clocks while I'm doing this. Great. All right.
We're seeing a lesson on time where students get multiple at-bats or chances to answer the questions. This is going to lend itself to mastery of the objective. Artfully woven into her lesson are comments about positive behavior that she wants to reinforce.
It's not quite there yet. What time does my clock say? We had it at 3 o'clock. Now it says what, Edward? It doesn't say 3 o'clock anymore. It says what? Help them out. It says what? Kalela? 3:45, because we know that if we count by 5, 7, 5, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, it says 3:45. So Edward, what time does my clock say right now? Great, 3:45. Second grade, my clock says?
3:45.
Good, I need to fill in my blanks. I'm looking if someone can read this whole thing for me, filling in the blanks on their own. I'm going to keep them empty. Who can do it? Who can tell me how many minutes before blank?
Notice what the teacher does and says to increase participation.
Well, Kalela already told me it's getting closer to 4 o'clock, right? Blank minutes before blank. I've got about 9 of us right now, and I love how people who don't know are really looking and thinking. Blank minutes before. I see Darren's even using the clock. He's counting. How many minutes before my minute hand gets to the 12? Right, Alyssa? How many minutes before this gets here? Because that's when our hour changes. All right, Shakara, I'll go for you. Show me the time, 7 o'clock. When you have it, hold it up on top of your head like it's a hat. Like this, like a hat, a clock hat. Like Demaya, so I can see it, please. Thank you, Teodoro. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. That does not say 7 o'clock, honey. All right, clock all the way up in the air. Clock on your desk. Slam on 2 and 2. Slam on 2 and 2. Strong hand to tell me what color hand is our minute. All right, sitting strong and 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. I love how our clocks are still on our table. This whole table is waiting for me, right? They look good. How many minutes before 8 o'clock is it if it's 7:50? Oh, looks like all our tables found an answer. Jordy, how many minutes before 8 o'clock is it?
10.
It's 10 minutes before 8 o'clock. If you knew that, clap once. If you knew that, slap your desk once. Good, I want you to grab your clock again. Turn it. You don't have to show me this time because I know how good we are at finding hours. Can you turn it to 4 o'clock now and then just keep it on your desk? 4 o'clock, please. You can keep it right on your desk because I know you're really good at finding it. Thanks for being stronger than that. Good job, Edward. This whole table has it. This says 4 o'clock. Good. 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 Now, change it. All right, sitting strong in 5, 4. Edward's already there. 3, 2, 1. If you can hear me, hands in the air. If you can hear me, hands on your head. Stand on 2, 1, 2. Stand on 2, 1, 2. Eyes up here, please. bless you, minutes before what? Esmeralda,
25 minutes before 5.
25 minutes before 5. If you hear it, have that say, yep.
Yeah.
25 minutes before 5. Great. Can you please take your clocks, put them in your right hand, put them down at the top part of your desk. Grab your textbooks and open them up, please. It was invaluable experience going in as an undergrad and walking into your own room and pretty much starting from scratch during the summer. Not having a cooperating teacher working side by side with you, having to make your own procedures, your own rules, your own curriculum. It really eliminated a lot of the, especially management struggles from my first year. Being able to set those procedures in my classroom during summer school helped have me gain exposure to what I could be experiencing my first year of teaching, and then my first year of teaching, some of those problems were eliminated because of that.
Probably the most important thing was that it gave me experience in the classroom, so I didn't come in like a brand new, fresh teacher. Also, before I was in the classroom, I was equipped with a lot of strategies with how to teach and classroom management skills, so I was guided well through it before we even started summer school. Then my leadership team at the school was awesome. Ashley Campbell and Hannah Hensel. Ashley now Steggy. Because they were able to guide me with my lesson plans, but also in classroom management, giving me feedback almost every single day. And if I was struggling, they would guide me through the situation.
I'd have to say classroom management. That's something that I know, talking to my friends who graduated and didn't go through the CFIT program, is something they really struggle with right away coming out of college, because you really don't have that chance to practice that until you have your own room. So because of my experience doing 3 summers of summer school, I feel like that was less of a struggle for me walking in last year and then continuing that throughout this year. Classroom management seems to be one of the strengths because of it.
But I knew in the summer kind of what I wanted my classroom to look like, how I wanted the classroom culture to feel, so I was able to plan that out. And that's a lot from summer school too. Like, I was taught how to plan a classroom culture, so I was able to set down those procedures, how we treat each other, before I could get into the academic material. And that's been super helpful, like coming back from breaks and having that classroom culture in place, we can just hit the road running again. I planned out how we work together as a team and family. So, for example, when I'm teaching a procedure, I expect everyone to be part of it. I don't leave one hanging, or I try not to. So each person is set up for success. If we don't do it all right the first time, then we have to start over, do it again. So we are a team and family. Then I taught keywords like cooperation, respect, independence, responsibility, having a serious mind. And we modeled how we do that and how we treat each other. Like, every single day, my students are giving each other shout outs or nominating each other for leadership, so they're noticing the positive things. And if someone's making a negative choice, they're building them up to do the right thing.
I have a student who came in kind of low, and right away him and I formed a relationship, and he, over parent-teacher conferences, his mom came in and she speaks Spanish, so through a translator she told me how much he now wants to be a teacher, and she actually started crying about it and said that he goes home all the time saying how he wants to be a teacher. And we had a professional day during our Spirit Week, and he dressed up as a teacher and had like maestro written on his thing, and told me it was because he enjoyed, me as a teacher so much. And I think that's impactful, because these kids see me at sometimes my best and my worst. Like, they see me get stressed and all that stuff, and he still looks at my job and thinks that's something he wants to do. So that was pretty impactful for me this year, to see him especially grow from the beginning of the year to someone who didn't like school and didn't want to be in it, to someone who wants to teach it someday.
I would suggest that they get as much experience as they can, as much exposure to classrooms, go into classrooms, visit classrooms, read about good teachers, surround yourself with good teaching so you see what you want to do and you want to be like them. Ask for feedback all the time, because that's how you're going to get better, is by asking for feedback from expert teachers.
Do as much as you can now. If I look back to my college years, thankfully I got involved with CFIT almost right away. But even looking back, like at my freshman year, there's stuff you can do right away. Get involved, get in the classrooms, write stuff down, steal ideas early, because it'll make the future a lot easier.
was adorable.